Hello, Dental 18 listeners. This is Kiera, and welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. I am so excited you're here. Today is going to be a really fun day because Dental 18 did their summit, and I hope you guys were able to attend. We always do our summit every single year in April, and I just want to do a quick let's do a summit conversation and let's talk about it. If you're able to come, I'm so glad you came. If you joined our Dental Team Consulting, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. And if you missed it, I'm going to tell you what you missed out on because it was wealth and wellness. It was CE this year, and I shortened it because I really wanted to just hyper focus in on doctors. I'm waiting for the feedback to find out. Did you guys love it? Did you not love it? How did it go? And the wealth and wellness, I just felt like you guys really, as podcast listeners, truly do deserve to hear just kind of some of the tips, because I felt like our speakers, Ryan Isaac, Greg Whiteley, were really incredible. And I felt like they had some really amazing pieces to it. But what I wanted to give you guys, I hope you're ready for it. What I wanted to give you are some of the cool tips that we did of like Britt and my portion of it, because we did such some really fun activities in there. And what I wanted you guys to see, I actually had people like draw some figures, and I just thought like our content was so great and people just loved it this year. And so I wanted you guys to have the experience to review it. And so I wanted to just dive in the wealth and wellness. There's just so many great things. So we asked people like, why are you here today at Summit? And then I'm not going to give you the whole thing because that's unfair for those of you who did listen, but they talked about wealth and freedom is what Britt and I talked about. And we talked about how like there's a direct relationship between how your work affects your personal life and how your personal life impacts your professional life. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I don't think you realize that your work life and your personal life impact your wealth and your freedom. And that's why we really talked about wealth. And so really helping you identify like what is your financial freedom and what is your personal freedom, because I think so often we think they're one and the same, but they're not. Like I asked the question and it was really fun because for Britt, personal freedom is to be able to just like not be concerned about the basics in life. And for me, personal freedom is being able to say yes to anything I want in life. And that's not tangible. That's like, I want to be healthy so I can go on a hike. I want to have like unlimited health and feeling good in my body. I want to be able to say yes to go on trips with people. I want to say yes to being able to hang out with my family. I want to say yes to being able to speak if that fulfills me. And one of the biggest reasons that wealth and wellness was such a hot topic for me this year in Summit was because I wanted people to realize that, as Tony Robbins says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And so we're driving so hard with our practices. We're working so hard to get there. We're really trying so hard to build these incredible businesses. But yet if we're not fulfilled, and I think I might be here in my career, and I think we all go through waves. I believe that business is very cyclical. I think sometimes we're up here and it's like this circle, right? So we're up here, we're super cranking, we're fulfilled. And then we start to like get a little more stressed. And then down here, we're just like bottom of the barrel. Like we hate everything. We don't want to come to work. We're thinking about selling our business. And then we come up to here and it's like, maybe there's a little bit of light and we're on the up and maybe things aren't as hard. We've hired some different people or we've changed some work schedules. And then we get back up to here where it's just like, oh my gosh, my life is so incredible and everything's fulfilled. And like, how can we, understanding it's cyclical, how can we get out of those down slumps a little bit faster and stay in the uphill a lot longer? And so that was just where I really got so jazzed, because realizing that there's pieces to get there is going to be amazing. Realizing that you can be that successful dentist that is wealthy, not just financially, but physically, mentally, relationships. And you can also be like really happy is amazing. So we talked about like finding your kryptonite, and is that increasing your production or your output? Or is it improving efficiency? So it's increased production and output or improve efficiency. And like, which one is that for you? Like, where are you? Is it that you need to be more productive and have like more output? Or do you need to become more efficient with your time? And so figuring out, for me, it's efficiency all day long. We produce, we crank, we output really, really well. but we're not as efficient. And we're looking for those efficiencies. I get ready. We have a book club coming up and it's amazing called Come Up for Air. I hope you guys love it. But really, like, how can you get more efficient with your time so it's less time, more fun, or whatever you choose to do? And so what I actually had people do is draw, there's a little human, and go through and figure out how do we actually spend our available time. So like with work, family, friends, entertainment, hobbies, exercise, spirituality, growth, whatever it is, how do you spend your time versus how you would like to be spending your time? And I had people actually build it on a human body. It kind of looked weird. But the reason we did that was because I wanted people to see, one, where did you actually put that? For me, my me time's over my heart. And prior, it was pretty much all my work. And seeing that work was taking up like 75% of my soul and shifting that to what I would actually love it to look like. Now I actually have a visual. I have a visual of what I want my time to look like, and encouraging people. We had this really cool workbook and we had the picture, like, put that visual up on the wall. So, because what I do believe is subconsciously we create what we're wanting. And so if I'm just running this track of work is 75% of me, work is 75% of me, work is 70%, I'm going to keep creating that. But realizing that we are very powerful individuals and we can actually shift that to like, no, like I want a ton of fun and travel, and I want, like, work is a pretty substantial amount of me, actually shifting that. And then we did the exact same thing of work allocation, because we said that there's actually ways to get freedom, and that's to improve your efficiency, which is team hiring, training, empowerment, systems playbook, or decreasing your overhead, or increasing your production, which is usually like revenue or case acceptance, things like that. And so looking at that, we said, like, what's our work time allocation? Because if we can figure out where you're lacking in the efficiencies, then you're going to be able to actually figure out where we can get the freedom to give you your life back. And so we had people actually like pie graph their work allocation of patient care, team training, calls, emails, admin, operation systems, HR, team management, marketing, and CE versus what they would like it to look like. And it was so telling for me when I actually did this of, I'm spending so much time in meetings, and can I cut down my meeting time? Can I not need to be at all the meetings? Are there ways that I mean, I've hired people, I've empowered them. I think it's a me thing, not a them thing. And so can I cut down my meetings and still maintain the productivity of our company? And like, just seeing it was so helpful, because they say the enemies of efficiency is really our people. And is it capabilities and skill? Is it attitude and outlook? Is it support and training, or is it buy-in and commitment? Like, what is the area that really is sucking our efficiency time, and what do we need to do to make that better? And so it just was really beautiful to think about, one, what's my real life, and what do I want that to look like? What am I currently doing versus what I'd ideally love to be spending my time, and using that visual to then be a guide of looking at my work allocation. What's going on with my work? Where am I spending the bulk of my time? And then what is the enemy of my efficiency? Like I said, is it capabilities and skill of my team? Is it attitude and outlook? Do I not have as great of a culture? Is it support and training, or is it buy-in and commitment? Like, what is my issue here? Because that's what's actually going to prevent my efficiency, which is ultimately going to prevent me being able to delegate and leverage my work tasks, which is then going to eventually elevate into me being able to have my ideal life. Now, I think you can shift it and say, no, this is what I want my ideal life to be. Think about people who get sick. They change in a second. It's crazy. I watch people, they get sick, their health changes instantly. The teams are more efficient. They have better people. They have better systems. And I'm like, well, what happened? Like, that was available prior to getting sick. Why didn't they choose to do it? And the catalyst wasn't there. And so is there a way for us to actually see our ideal life of what we want it to be as the catalyst, as opposed to waiting until our ideal life is slipping away from us and we have a health issue, or we have a marriage issue, or we have a child issue, or some catastrophe hits, and then we're willing to make the shift? Like, what do we need to do today to make the shift, to be able to start living our ideal lives, being better with our work allocation and efficiencies, and truly training up our teams and using the people in our teams to leverage, to maximize, to optimize? And this to me was why I loved it, because, and I think this is why I just want to do a quick summit recap, because it was just so fun to have people see those aha moments, and then to look at your team and to we made each person assess their team members. And is your team member an asset or a liability? Are they delivering more value than the time that they're taking from you? Like, really looking at it, because then that shows me, all right, I've got this work allocation. This is where I'm struggling my work. Now I've got my people assessment of what's going on with my people. Is there a way that I could shift my people, shift the roles to then have my work allocation better, to then have my ideal life better? It was just, I don't know. These things light me up because I feel like it's a solution and it's freedom. for me to actually be able to get my life back? And then we dug into numbers and how here is the top layer of what we need and where we need to make the changes. But it's like, what's going to be the pain of change for you? What's going to be the pain of change for you? And we either make changes based on pain or pleasure. So we either wait for pain or we do it for pleasure. And that's how we change. And so looking at this, I just hope that people who attended Summit and post Summit talking, like, can we not choose that we're not going to have the pain of not doing these things, but actually get the pleasure of our ideal life? And that's why we're going to change, because we love ourselves so much and we love our teams and our patients so much that we deserve. And we know that if we start with the top us, that it's actually going to then infiltrate into our teams and to our patients. I don't know. I just hope that it's resonating with you. I hope that you're seeing it. And then we just went through like overhead and KPIs and monthly costs and talked about dentists who were able to go from 350,000 to $1 million in 1 year. And then 3 years later, they're now on track to do 4.2 million. And it's the simple efficiencies. It's the simple solutions. It's the simple pieces of ideal life, work allocation, and then optimizing those efficiency pieces with your people and your systems. And like really, it's to diagnose your problem. So is it your team and your people, or is it your systems and your processes? It's really where it's at. It boils down to that. Those two simple things: teams and people, or systems and processes. And so coming to you today, if you didn't attend Summit, well, one, you missed out, and be sure to mark your calendars. It's usually the last weekend in April is where we host it. So mark your calendars for next year and plan to be there that Friday with us. But number two, can you today diagnose, like, where's your ideal life versus where you are actually doing it? And what is the problem from it? Is it teams and people, or systems and processes? And I know we oftentimes have a loyalty bone, but pretend you were consulting yourself so you don't have emotional attachment to it. Could you more clearly see, is it your team and your people, or is it your systems and processes? And I think some people might say both. For me, I know certain departments are people. I know that I have some certain departments that have the people that I need to be able to like rise up, elevate, or rise out, and all are great options. And I also know that there are some systems and processes that have kind of been handed down by almost like tribal knowledge, where I need to improve those systems and processes and make it to where it's so much more efficient and our team could do so much better. And so it was just a lovely, lovely, lovely time. And I love this last piece of execution trumps knowledge every day. It's not enough to know your problems. You've got to take massive action and stay consistent. And then we went into Ryan Isaac talking about the hardest, easiest trick to building long-term wealth, which I thought was a really, really interesting conversation. And then Greg Whiteley talking about how, sometimes when life doesn't play out, the beauty of our lives is actually in the mess of our lives. And he gave some really beautiful examples where like our mess and the chaos is actually the storyline of the most beautiful, heroic story. And that mess is actually shaping us and shifting us into who we need to be to become what we're ultimately wanting to be. And just really kind of taking it from this wealth and wellness, from a financial perspective to a whole ideal person perspective, to how we overcome and view our challenges, really just brings the whole thing together. And so I just thought it was such an incredible summit. I hope you're able to attend. I hope if you did attend, this is a fun recap for you to think about. And my question is, what are you actually doing to get your ideal life now? What are you actually willing to do? And what are you actually helping? Like, are you actively creating it, or are you just letting it happen? That's on you. Like, you can change this in a second. And so what are you actively doing to change that? What are you actively doing to make sure that you're living the life you want, not the one that's being handed to you, that you're creating it, not just managing it, that you are realizing it's my systems and my team, or it's my people. And what am I going to do to change? Am I going to hire a consultant, aka dental aid team? I would recommend us, but you take your choice, right? Reach out. I'd love to chat with you. Are you willing to, what are you willing to do? Pain of, is it the pain that's going to make you to change, or is it the pleasure of having that ideal life? And I think so often, to boil it down beyond the summit, I've been thinking about this a lot, because I don't feel like, the other day I sat there and I'm like, Kiera, you love everybody else and you'll take a bullet for everybody else, but you're not willing to do it for yourself. And it's been this eye-opening thing for me to even hear this. And I'm like, that's what's stopping me from getting my ideal life. And so what do I need to do to change? I need to rise up as a leader, and I've got to change that. So I actually reached out. Funny, I do my own summit, and then it's like usually more for me than it is for you. So I reached out to a mentor and a coach, and I said, I need this kind of a coach. I need somebody who has been a CEO like myself, someone who's a female. I think females have a little bit different, just like men. You have a different, which is why I have men and women on our team. But I said, I want somebody who has, I want somebody who's young. I don't want somebody who's in real estate. I want somebody who's in a B2B service industry. And that's who I want for a coach. And it was crazy because my coach that I actually talked about at Summit, she said, Kiera, what you actually need is you need to learn how to go from being a team member to a CEO. And I thought about that. The company's actually outgrown me. I can't octopus juggle it anymore. It's literally like stripping me down to the core of who I am and allowing me to rebirth. But it's like I'm seeing how my ideal life is not what I want it to be. And so again, is it the pain of health? I went to the dentist. This is funny. I went to the dentist and she said, Kiera, you look a lot more stressed out than you normally do. And I said, I am. I'm like at a 500 out of like out of 10. I'm like off the charts of stress right now. And she said, well, it's actually interesting because your gums have never looked like this. And you guys, I take great pride in my mouth. And she's like, you have perfect home care, but your stress is getting to you. And I just thought, Kiera, you could change this for pleasure, or you're going to have the pain that's going to force you to change. It's going to be one of the two. And so I think it's almost like a plea, an invitation, and like a kick in the booty, depending upon which route you are. Do you need a hug? Do you need you need to do this? Or do you need the realization of where you're headed, of really being able to say, I'm wanting my ideal life and I deserve that, because again, it starts from the top down. I know that I need to improve my team, right? Like there could be some changes there. And I also need to improve my systems and efficiency. And I'm not going to get to the spot where my health is gone or my marriage is gone or my kids are not liking me. I'm going to make the changes now. It's like proactively doing it versus reactively having to repair. And so my ask is that you would be like me and you would actually reach out for the guidance now. Whether you're like me, I'm like kind of drowning and realizing I need help of guidance because I don't actually know what that looks like. I said, I feel like I'm walking through a blizzard and I don't know what the next step is. Am I going to walk off a cliff or am I going to keep moving in the right direction? I actually can't see it because I don't know what that looks like. But for each of you listening, the Dental team does know what it looks like for you. We do know the next step. We can light the way. You don't have to look in a blizzard. You can actually have somebody who can guide your team with you and give you the tips and the resources that you need and actually make it actionable. So I would love to invite you each to reach out. hello@thedentalteam.com. Just book a quick call. It's like 15 minutes. It's very easy. We'll see if you're a good fit for us. And if not, I've got lots of other resources. So I want to make sure you're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for you. But make sure that you commit to being truly the happiest that you deserve to be. It starts with you and it trickles down to your team and to your patients. So commit that you're going to do that. Don't wait. Reach out. Let's not go through the pain. Let's go through, because we know we deserve it and we want to give ourselves the best life. We get one life. One. Why not make it our best? And with that, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Dental Team Podcast.